My point of order, Mr. Speaker, is under Order 8, Rule 4, matters of urgent public importance. In respect, Mr. Speaker, of the violation of public trust at the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA. Mr. Speaker, I urge that that issue be taken as a matter of urgent public importance. And also, Mr. Speaker, I urge that Order 8, the rules, relevant rules be suspended under Order 8, Rule 7 of the rules of this House.
By my honorable colleague, I so second. Thank you.
Those in favor of the motion that the matter be considered urgent, say aye. Those against it, say nay. Ayes have it. Seconder to the second limb of the motion.
NEMA. The House notes that the core mandate of the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, is to coordinate the management of disasters across the country and to assist victims of such disasters. Also note that in spite of this core mandate, several cases of disasters across the country have not been given necessary attention. For example, the hunger issue in IDP camps in the Northeast, the farmers' herdsmen conflicts, fire disaster victims, and many other such cases across the country that have been neglected. Concerned that the agency has received more than 10 billion naira from the 20% National Ecological Fund in the last 1 year, 5 billion for hunger intervention in the Northeast, about 2 billion for flood intervention across the country. Worried that these funds were illegally siphoned by officials of the agency through dubious award of contracts without delivering relief items to the victims. The Director General of the agency also awards contracts to companies he has personal interest in and has violated his approval limits by awarding contracts to a single firm without due process. For example, one company called Olam Nigeria Limited got a contract of 2.4 billion naira, which is against the agency's approval limit as stated in Section 16, subsection 1 of NEMA Act. It should be made clear that the section pegs the approval limit at just 30 million naira. Further worried that the agency is the only federal agency that has an air ambulance but has turned it into a commercial one without remitting the financial proceeds to government coffers, and the agency could not account for their assets. Aware that the agency staff went on strike last year over the Director General's incapacity to manage the affairs of the agency, and the staff are currently threatening to embark on another strike if there is no intervention to resolve lingering labor-related issues in the agency. The House resolved to mandate the Committee on Emergency and Disaster Preparedness to investigate the agency and report back within 6 weeks. I so move.
Honorable Wayo, please lead the debate.
Once again, we want to refer us to Section 88 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended. Mr. Speaker, that section says, with your permission I read, that subject to the provisions of this Constitution, each House of the National Assembly shall have power by resolution published in its journal or in the official gazette of the government of the Federation to direct or cause to be directed an investigation into A, any matter or thing with respect to which it has power to make laws, and B, the conduct of affairs of any person, authority, ministry or government department charged or indeed to be charged with a duty of or responsibility for 1, executing or administering laws enacted by the National Assembly, and 2, disbursing or administering monies appropriated or to be appropriated by the National Assembly. Mr. Speaker, the management of NEMA has violated Section 16, subsection 1 of the NEMA Act by approving and awarding contracts where and above the limit that it has. Mr. Speaker, my honorable colleagues, by that section, the limit of the amount of money in which the management of NEMA, the DG, has powers to award is limited, pegged at 30 million naira. Mr. Speaker, I have with me here an award letter in which the managing director, or rather the Director General of NEMA, awarded a contract to one company named Olam Nigeria Limited to the tune of 2.4 billion naira. Mr. Speaker, this is a gross violation of the extant provisions of the NEMA Act, particularly Section 16, sub 1 of that Act. Mr. Speaker, just yesterday, we made to understand that NEMA gave to about 1,600 IDPs 200 bags of maize and 150 bags of rice in Benue State. Mr. Speaker, this is the reason why we are saying that the amount of money being appropriated to or by this House to NEMA is not being utilized. Instead, it is being siphoned by the agency and is going into private pockets. Mr. Speaker, NEMA has an air ambulance, and it has converted this ambulance into business use, or rather for business use. And it has not remitted any kobo of all the runnings or all the amount of money it has made. It has not remitted anything to the coffers of the government. Mr. Speaker, it is on this ground that I call and I urge this House to investigate the agency for the purpose of determining what has happened to the amount of money appropriated to that agency and why the agency should go beyond its limit of awarding contracts from 30 million to a whopping amount of money of about 2.4 billion. Mr. Speaker, this call for investigation. Mr. Speaker, we are here to oversight the activities of the executive. And we have the public trust to do that. And we must be seen to doing our work diligently. Because this government is fighting corruption. And when we see these things happening, we cannot close our eyes against it. If we say we are fighting corruption with all seriousness, then we must take steps to make sure that those who are exposed in practicing corruption are brought to book. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, I urge this House to investigate this matter. Thank you very much.
Of the agency awarding contracts to companies in which he has personal interest. That's a very serious matter, but you didn't even make reference to that. Now, if you don't have anything worth investigating in that direction, then we may wish to expunge it from the body of your motion. So what led to that conclusion, Honorable Wayo?
Thank you, Mr. And I say that the DG of NEMA has awarded a contract to Olam Nigeria Limited, and I say that the DG of NEMA has interest in that company.
Motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it.